Hello and welcome to Tinnitus Matters, the Tinnitus Matters podcast, where we discuss all aspects of tinnitus. I'm Phil Holmes,
And I'm Christine Nixon.
and today we've got a very special guest with us, Lauren Forgione.
Hi, Lauren,
Hello.
and thanks for joining us today.
Okay.
You've got some experiences of tinnitus, and
Mhm.
you've kindly come in to talk to us about them today. So, when did you first experience a tinnitus? What happened?
So in 2012, I'd been on a night out, and basically I got in bed, literally just drifting off, and then all of a sudden this thing dropped in my ear. It was like a tiny moth.
An actual moth, or it
an
just felt
an actual moth.
right.
Did you only know that afterwards?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think from what I can remember, I'm pretty sure I knew there was one flying around, but all of a sudden it just dropped in my ear, and basically I just started panicking because it was literally flapping in my ear.
And it got stuck in there?
It was literally flapping, and obviously naturally I was like, oh my god, started faffing with my ear.
Yes.
So then I ended up going to the emergency room because I was in New Zealand at the time.
Right.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
you were living over there?
yeah,
or on
yeah,
holiday?
yeah. So we gone to the emergency room, and literally, it was just constantly flapping in my ear.
So were other people trying to get it out of your ear?
So I had to wait for. So I was in the emergency room probably for about an hour, and then I got moved to this other place, and then probably in total it was about 4 hours, I think,
Right.
with this thing constantly just flapping in my ear. So I was constantly I kept sticking my finger in and moving my ear, and obviously I was getting really
Agitated.
yeah. So then eventually they ended up trying to flush it out with water. I think they had to do it 3 or 4 times, and then it literally came out. It was the tiniest little moth.
Wow.
Tiny, and I was like, what on earth?
So from there,
Literally from there,
the tinnitus began.
Yeah, it
And
was just constantly ringing.
so it's a ringing sound, your
Mm.
tinnitus. And when was that? Sorry, Lauren. 2000.
2012.
And has it got gradually worse since 2012, or the same, or better?
I'd say it has got worse. Yeah.
Yeah. And what have you done over that time to help with the tinnitus?
Well, naturally, obviously, I was struggling, so to come to terms with it, because I didn't know what it was. Just constant ringing. And it's
So sorry, can I just ask and just clarify? Up until the incident where you had the moth in your ear, you'd never had tinnitus before.
No, I had brilliant hearing. I'd nothing. I could literally hear a pin drop.
So are you implying your hearing was affected as well?
I think it was affected in the sense of, because it is that constant ringing, it's hard not to focus on it. So obviously in time you do get used to it, in a sense.
And sorry, I've got so many questions. This is fascinating. When they checked your ear after they removed the moth, was it red? Was there a problem?
They didn't say
Did they
anything.
say it looked okay?
Yeah, they said it was fine.
So there's no
didn't say
visible
anything.
damage, but then you were left with the ringing sound.
Yeah.
Have you had hearing tests since, or?
I think probably about a year later, I think I ended up coming back to the UK. And then I was referred from my GP to the ENT clinic.
Because your tinnitus was bothering you? Right.
Yeah,
So you'd made the GP's appointment to go to specifically talk about the tinnitus, and then the referral happened. Okay.
Yeah, because it was just driving me crackers, to be honest. Yeah, so I went, and then they basically sent me for a hearing test. And they said my hearing was okay, so it was obviously just the constant ringing and stuff in my ear.
So, over the years, has it ever been a problem to you, a significant problem where it's impacted on an activity you were going to do or somewhere you were going to go? Has it limited that or stopped that happening?
I don't like being in quiet places because it makes it even worse. It gets really, and I've noticed like when I'm tired as well, that's really bad. So I did start listening to like music or just some sort of
And that
relaxing
helps you.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
like drowns it out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do think the longer you have it, I do think you get used to it. You do sort of, well, you just learn to live with it, I suppose. But like things like if I go to like a concert or listen to music or something, sometimes that can sort of increase it as well. It's
So
just
do you... Sorry, go on.
Sorry, because I'm a musician and I make music and I gig and things like that. So I'm really interested in that. I also suffer from tinnitus, as we've talked about earlier. But when you're at the gig, when you're at the venue and the music's quite loud and you've got the lights and everything and the play on there, is your tinnitus more noticeable then, or is it when you leave that environment and it goes quiet?
when I leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you struggle to sleep.
Yeah, so that's when I have to just try and do something to sort of like drown it out.
Have you informed friends and family about your tinnitus and how they can help? Do you say, give me some space? Do they know? Or background noise?
Yeah, so I will say like like it's stressing me out or whatever, and I will just try and take myself off or something.
So I imagine it's really important to have a good support network. It must help.
Yeah.
So if you had advice for others, who are starting, you could call it a journey of experiencing tinnitus, is there any advice you would give to them? Is it important you go to your GP, to ENT, or would you say you will get used to it?
A bit of everything really. So obviously speak to your GP, because sometimes, I don't know, it could be something to do with the hearing, but definitely speak to people, because obviously if you're getting frustrated about it or upset, and I think a lot of the time there's a lot of people that are actually going through it, and they don't really realise that it's there, and it might just be that like they have a sleepless night when they notice it more, or they're stressed and they notice it more. Like, from my understanding, a lot of people get it for a lot of different reasons, and you're not alone. Like, it sounds very cliche, but you're not alone, because it is really, really common. So yeah, speak to people.
Yeah, I imagine if you feel quite isolated with tinnitus, it could almost feed it, couldn't it?
Yeah, I think when you first get it, because you're so like in tune, like, oh, what is that, and the more you focus on it, personally, from my perspective, the more you focus on it, the louder it gets. So that's why I find listening to like a relaxing sound in bed or something, because when it's obviously, my house is chaos, so when it goes quiet, it's like really there. So then I need to sort of like
So what do you listen? You mentioned relaxing sounds, and that's really interesting to me, because I listen to things, and I've got things that kind of help me, and I'm always trying to find out other people and what helps them. So, what kind of relaxing sounds? Do you mean music, or do you mean a soundscape, or waves, or?
Yeah, like waves. I like rain sounds as well. So I listen to rain sounds, or like meditation music, spa music, just to respect, because particularly it happens more so when the house does go quiet, and I'm trying to relax in bed, and then I do suffer really badly anyway with like mental health. So when I'm stressed, then I feel like it gets even worse. So I know that things work for me, like listening to music, and like, well, I say music, I will listen to not like actual music, but when I'm in bed, I'll just listen to.
I think it's great you have those tools there.
Yeah.
You know your plan of action almost, isn't it? Like you say, not just for your tinnitus, but for mental health, that we all need to use really to bring us down, which then helps the tinnitus calm down. And I think you choosing those natural nature sounds is really interesting, because they are the most calming, recognised, aren't they?
They are.
And effective with tinnitus. Have you been offered, Lauren, ever a device for you? Have you ever wanted to try something in your ear, like a hearing aid, but to
Well,
help with the tinnitus?
at the time, obviously because it was in 2012, I wasn't offered anything because I don't think there was anything.
Would you
Mm.
want something like that
available.
now, for instance, or have you got used to it to a point where you feel you're okay?
I mean, I would give it a try, but to be honest, I've just learnt to live with it. Like
Yeah,
half of the time, I don't even really notice that it's there.
that's really reassuring, actually,
Yeah.
isn't it,
It
for our
is.
listeners?
Yeah. Can I just ask? Everybody's tinnitus is different. Some people get it in one ear, some people get it in both. Sometimes it's louder in one than it is in the other, etc., etc. Yours, from the story you've told us, you can pinpoint the point
The
in
moment.
which the moment in which you got that. Is it only in one ear, or has it developed into both?
No, it's just in the one.
It's just in the one.
Yeah, my left ear.
For me, it's my right. That's interesting, isn't it?
These days as well, just, for the purposes of the listener as well, if someone does have it in one ear, we would always recommend, you would see a GP like you did and have a scan, so forth, just to rule anything else out or to help further. But obviously in New Zealand, they just knew it was the moth and left it as that, did they?
Yeah, they just flushed it out and away you go.
It's almost like they're used to seeing it
Yeah.
over there.
Moths landing in
Yeah.
ears.
An everyday occurrence. Wow, really interesting.
Looking forward, I think, and what hopes do you think you've got for your condition? Do you think, because we know that tinnitus won't go away, but do you think that, is there anything that you think could potentially help you further, or are you...
Something you'd want to see happen for your tinnitus? To help, like people talk about cures all the time and the research that goes on out there. Did you at the beginning read into all that hoping for a cure? And would you want that for others, or do you think naturally over time it usually can?
I think it'd be great if there was a cure for it, but there isn't. You just sort of learn to live with it, and it like the more you sort of like have it. Initially, it is really frustrating, and it really can affect you because you all of a sudden have got this like sound in your ear that you're not used to. But like I said, you keep yourself busy or like listen to music. It does. You just get used to it. In my opinion, you just get used to it. Like I said, most of the time I don't really realise I've got it. It's only when it just, if I'm in a loud environment and then all of a sudden it goes really quiet.
Yes.
Or again, like when I'm stressed or something.
Certain triggers.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating, and thank you so much for talking.
Thank you very
to
much,
us.
Lauren, for coming and talking to
No
Tinnitus
worries.
Matters.
Thank you.
It's really helpful, isn't it, to hear your side of it, really, and that there is hope. It does get better. It does get easier.
Yeah.
And when it does come around, knowing how to manage that and having those tools in place is vital. And that's great. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
No problem. Thank you.